Welcome to Presence and Purpose, the art of alignment. Awaken your truth, align your energy, and embody self-leadership to create the life you are meant to live.
What if the reason you still feel stuck isn't because you're broken, isn't because you're behind, or isn't because you're not doing enough? What if it's because somewhere along the line you got disconnected from yourself? It happens. It happens to all of us. It's a disconnect from our truth, from the inner knowing, and from the deeper rhythm of who you actually are. And because of this disconnect, you try to build a meaningful life from an unaligned place. And the calling to live more authentically, truthfully as to who you are, and in a more fulfilling way of being is real. This vlogcast exists to address this, not through fluff, not through pretending life is always peaceful and always joyful, not by bypassing the hard parts because life happens, but through grounded truth and deepening your own self-awareness and supporting soulful alignment and courageous self-leadership. Welcome to the Presence and Purpose, the Art of Alignment vlogcast. I'm Laura Clark, a purpose and vision alchemist, and I help support purpose-driven female and really cool men, leaders, embody self-trust, alignment, confidence, and meaningful living. And I'm so very glad that you're here, honored that you've taken the time to sit and watch and listen and are ready to dive into your own self-leadership, your own purpose, and your own ability to realign at the hardest times in your life. This space was created for the woman and really cool man who knows that she's meant for more and is tired of forcing things and pushing and overthinking and even constantly questioning herself. These women, just like you, have spent years supporting everyone else, showing up, leading, creating, working hard, trying to grow and carrying all of this on their shoulders. And yet because I'm one of you, still quietly wonders, why do I feel disconnected from myself? How do I reconnect? Because maybe you've achieved the things, maybe you've built a business or a career, a family. Maybe people look at your life and think, man, she has it all together. But internally, there's a sense of feeling scattered and being pulled in so many directions. And that creates disconnect from your energy. Your energy gets depleted. And energy is your primary source of joy, of creativity, and of confidence. And somewhere deep down, you know there has to be another way. You know it. You know that personal growth helps and supports this. Not a perfect way, right? We've given up on perfection, but in an honest, truthful way with yourself, because that is the biggest relationship you can have, is honesty and truthfulness and integrity with who you are. And that's what we're here to discuss and what it's all about. It's about learning how to come back to yourself, not your old self, because who wants to do that? I don't want to become a teenager again. I don't know about you. But come back into the true self that's always been there, that needs to rise to the surface in this period of time in your life. It's about how to hear yourself again and how to trust your own wisdom. See, alignment with your energy, with your actual values, helps you to stop abandoning yourself. It helps you start creating success, as you can only define that, in the most coordinated way with the universe, with how you were made to be a spiritual soul in a human presence. Because this success without alignment actually feels very empty. And alignment without action will keep you stuck. So there are a lot of wonderful spiritual guides who speak into having everything feel easy and wonderful and just peaceful and joyful all the time. Well, it can be in each and every given moment. Life will happen. Life is given to you so that you can create lemonade out of lemons, right? And create even more tasteful lemonade when you're given lemonade. And that takes action. That takes the ability to respond in a way to what those life happenings are. And this space is about that. It's about presence and coming into the moment and purpose. What are you actually made for? Now, how do I know about this? Well, like I said, I really am just like you. I've gone through many transitions in my life and am currently going through a transformational time. And I relish that because it gives me the opportunity to be curious and be creative, to look underneath. I have a rock here, to look underneath the rock at the moss, right? That's growing and everything that's turning around for my highest good. But in these times of transition, there's also a sense of self-doubt, of constant questioning and wondering, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Right? Do I have what it takes? And those questions that come floating up are your ego, your humanness trying to keep you safe. So what I know is that when we get to this place, we have to step into personal growth. That's the primary and biggest step you can take to align yourself with your compass, that inner knowing, the intuition, the awareness, your soul's truth. It's the gut guidance that we may have stopped listening to fully or stopped listening altogether, and we start reacting to things. And that takes us off course. So this particular space and time for me comes after a transition after the death of my dad. He was my best friend and he's been gone from this plane for about 18 months now. And it's been a time of not of grief because I've had to step into the leadership role of building his legacy through his trust. And so in this time of emotional turmoil that I'm setting aside, it's been a doozy to take action. But in that time, I absolutely step into all of my self-care practices and my soul listening practices, because that's what keeps me grounded. That's what keeps me centered. That's what allows me to feel the feels and step forward. That's what's kept me from going down the proverbial rabbit hole. And there have been other times in my life when I stepped into a different hat, wearing a different aspect of who I am. And we've all done that, right? You might have changed careers. You might have gotten married. You may have had children. You may be an empty nester. You may be looking at retirement and saying, well, what's this new hat? It's not about the new hat that's really important. And inside this vlogcast, we're going to talk about it's coming back to your true self, to what you're supposed to be, because that's the golden thread in all of the hats that we wear. And that's about self-trust and intuition and emotional resilience. It's about really that self-leadership of who am I and how do I want to put that into the world? Because who are you? You might be a nurturing seed grower. That might be your purpose in the world, right? A nurturing seed grower. And that might come in gardening, or it might come in being a parent, or it might come in leading a community organization, right? Your purpose never changes. How you put it into the world will shift. And that's where we look at having grounded manifestation about what it is that we want to do, right? And healing the not good enough wound and reconnecting to that really deep purpose and how do we want to put it out in the world in a human aspect, grounded and real. See, even the most spiritual of gurus, the ones who really support in a way that allow you to be human and real, we have real life to deal with. With my dad's passing, we have all the emotions to deal with. We have, in this particular thing, the family pressures that come up with a transition like this, and still have our own lives to lead beyond that. That's real. That's human. That's a life happening in a life transition. And it's not about stepping into being spiritual and guiding from this almighty place. It's about allowing our experiences and our wisdom and our knowledge, wisdom from within and knowledge from what we've learned through trainings, to bring in the best of us and help support you with practices. And because we practice what we preach, to stay grounded, to effectively support you, and to respond to things in a mature, balanced way and not react irrationally, right? Because it's so easy for us humans to react irrationally and to become challenged by the negative and the downpouring of anger and hatred and just react to that. Instead of stepping into our emotional resilience when we hear things we don't like and say, how can we turn problems into possibilities based on our own purpose so that we can be real? See, I don't believe transformation happens overnight. I don't. I believe our ahas and that wow comes at the drop of a hat. But putting that aha into practice is where the real transformation happens. And I don't believe that transformation happens through collectively and endlessly gathering inspiration and looking at those positive people who seemingly always feel inspired. It's about seeing the insight and allowing it to become embodied so you take action. Because when wisdom becomes lived, that's where transformation happens. That's why this isn't just motivational content and inspirational. Well, I hope that it is, but this is a place for perspective shifts. Because to grow, you need to have a change in perspective. You can't solve problems the old way. That's the definition of insanity. You have to shift your own perspective, your own being, to look at things in a way to be certain that the shifts are in alignment with your core values. Because if they're not, your compass is not going to be set properly and you're going to go off. Transformation is in the place of energetic recalibration. Because when we are going to be present and on purpose, you need to know and appreciate the art of alignment. And that's the new perspective and the embodiment of that for shifting, growing, and transforming. And honest conversations help you realign with who you truly are. So in this vlogcast, the future ones, some episodes may be reflective. Some will be me speaking about maybe an experience that I have that you can connect to, or an experience of one of my clients that you certainly will be able to relate to. Some of these vlogcasts will challenge you. Actually, all of them will challenge you in just a small way so that you can put one simple step forward, because that's also a piece of transformation. We can't, if you look at the practice of losing weight, you can't go from size 24 to size 16 overnight. You have to take simple steps, right? And so in this vlogcast, we're going to do simple steps that challenge you, that you can put into place from the calling of you forward that is inside, right? We have that calling of us to move, to shift, to be a change maker, and we want to hear it. And so this opens up the space where it will help you take that deep breath again and allow yourself to be honest and truthful with yourself so that you can make a shift and take a simple action. And all of these build upon themselves for a more meaningful and successful life. All of them will be somewhat sassy because, well, that's who I am. Actually, everybody says that in a most authentic way, in a way of saying something that with a sense of humor, because you can't lose your sense of humor in all of this. With a sense of humor, you can go, yeah, I hear what she's saying. Ain't that the truth? Right? However, in humor, there's always a grain of truth that we can connect to. And mostly these episodes will ask you to stop looking outside yourself for permission, because one of the biggest things that I've learned is this. Most women don't actually need more information. They need more grounding. They need more clarity. They need more space to breathe, to hear themselves, and to step into trusting themselves more, greater self-trust. And then to take the courageous step, even when we have fear all around ourselves. And when I talk about fear, I talk about fear being forever evading abundant rewards. Some people call it false evidence appearing real, but I call it forever evading your abundant rewards. Because when we don't have courage, we're hiding. We're not stepping out and living in an aligned, authentic way, and a way that you already know to be true. So we're going to support you to find more courage. So in spite of fears, you take those small, meaningful, step-by-step pillars, right? Or on the rungs of a ladder to greater joy. That's the deeper work. And that's the work we're here to do today. So as you begin listening to these episodes, I want you to start paying attention to something very important. Where in your life have you drifted away from yourself? Not stepped away, not gone way off course and had to actually totally reprogram your compass. Just drifted away from yourself. Is it where you're saying yes when you need to say no? Is it when you're not speaking when you're meant to be heard? Is it not showing up fully when you're truly meant to be seen? Is it waiting for validation from somebody else instead of trusting that you are the soul that is glowing within, just waiting to step out? So that's the bigger question right now, right? Where have you drifted from yourself? Where have you not shown up? Where are you trying to earn your own self-worth instead of embodying it? Ouch. Where are you trying to earn it instead of embodying it? Because your self-worth is innate. You are a unique individual. Your DNA is not like anybody else's DNA. The time and date you chose to come down to the earth is different, even if you are sextuplets. You came into this world at a different time. Your name is different and your core values are different. And those things are what shape your purpose and your self-worth. You are unique. And that's where we're going to begin. So alignment is not becoming somebody new. It's not embracing the old person, but it's finding the vibe, the energetic vibration of finding your own compass again. And it's about returning to what's true through your learning, discernment, and your experience and your soul's truth. And it's returning to that so you can become the better, best self that's within again and again and again. And that's the practice. That's the art. So we've talked about alignment, and the practice is the art of alignment, presence, and purpose. Does it mean that life is suddenly becoming effortless and things fall into place all of the time? Boom, 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 boom. How I so wish and how you wish it were so, right? That's not how life works. The universe gives us constant 2x4s. Sometimes we can zip out of the way of the 2x4 hitting us, right? And say, there's something I need to pay attention to, and there's another one. And sometimes it's just light coming down. And it's like, I can embrace this. And sometimes it's a 4x8 just hitting you rock solid, and you have to go into greater personal growth in that particular moment. And it does mean that you stop living in constant resistance, because that is, oh my gosh, the constant resistance is so draining. You've been there. I've been there. Resistance to who you are and stepping out as that. It's hard to pretend. It's hard not to be yourself. And that takes up so much more energy and makes life so much harder than if you just did the work to get in alignment and didn't constantly resist who you are. That's where life becomes easier, because you stop betraying your own energy. You stop silencing your intuition, your gut instincts, and you stop performing being somebody else that doesn't fit. And that's when everything begins to shift. You become more clear. Decisions become easier, and your confidence grows. Your relationships change. Mostly your relationship with yourself, because in that's where strength and courage and resilience grows, so that all the other relationships become supportive and connected and filled with love and light. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally come home to yourself. And in this time and this era and this moment of presence, the self that has not been shining and seen in the world does. You've grown. You're simply more present and more purposeful. So as we begin this journey together, I want you to really remember, you don't need to have everything figured out. Oh my gosh, if we had everything figured out, there'd be no curiosity. There'd be no adventure. There'd be no exploration. How dull that would be. And you don't need to become perfect before you begin, because I was perfect until yesterday, and today is so much better. And I say that a lot, because I really did, quote unquote, think I was perfect because I was striving so hard in my life to be excellent. And when I made a mistake, MIS-TAKE, I saw it as a flaw instead of an opportunity, a mistake to do another do-over. And so perfection is unattainable, and it takes up too much energy. And so today I am not perfect. It's one of the things I say all the time to myself. Not in that way, because we'll talk about affirmations in another vlogcast. That affirmation doesn't serve you. But I do say I am allowed to make mistakes, because in that I'm human. What you need to do as we move forward is have a willingness to pause. Pause long enough to take a deep breath and hear that inner wisdom. Not through the noise, not through comparison, not through outperforming, but in being present, because presence is the gift that changes everything. So if this resonates with you, don't just leave it as inspiration. Answer it from a thought that you had, and answer it in the sense of, how have I drifted off course from a value? And begin applying how to reconnect with that value and put it into life, because that's where that first step of transformation will begin. And we'll go deeper in this. So subscribe to the channel so you hear about more episodes coming up, and begin paying closer attention to the places where your inner truth has already been trying to guide you. Alignment isn't something you find once. It's something you practice daily. Becomes the artist of your alignment for greater presence and purpose. That's the goal of this vlogcast, and how it can support you step by step, honestly and courageously. So this has been Presence and Purpose, the Art of Alignment, with Purpose and Vision alchemist Laura Clark, as an introduction. And remember, staying aligned with your purpose, stay trusting in yourself, and keep stepping into life that you are truly meant to live.